to another reading from the Science of Mind magazine, the Daily Guides. Today, Diana Ensign has called this Love Gives Us Courage. I'm going to read it and then I do have a few comments. The first quote is from Lao Tzu, and I guess she likes Lao Tzu. She's quoted from him quite a bit this month. Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. And funnily enough, the theme for our Toastmasters meeting today was courage. My wife was the Toastmaster. She picked it because of Memorial Day. The theme of courage seemed very appropriate to her. I've got a couple more comments related to our Toastmasters meeting later on. Ernest Holmes says, all the power of the universe is with you. Feel it, know it, and then act as though it were true. Feel it, know it, and then act as though it were true. And this is our writer, Diana. She says, when we think of courage, we may imagine those bold individuals who yell from bullhorns to rally the masses. Or maybe we bring to mind famous individuals from history who bravely stood up to tyranny, racism, or oppression. While such people are certainly excellent examples of valiant daring, there are also ways for us to behave. Okay, Anna, what are they? She goes on to say, sometimes courage is not outwardly obvious. It may begin as a tiny whisper in our hearts as we figure out what matters to us. In prayer or meditation, we might ask, what is truly important in my life? What am I being called to do? She goes on to say, we might also be willing to be courageous when people whom we love are at risk. She said, even as an extreme introvert, I recall visiting my daughter's high school to speak to the principal when her track coach was accused of sexual misconduct with a student. I spoke quietly but firmly regarding my concerns about how that situation must be handled. As more recently, I wrote a book about ways to care for our transgender community. I decided to do so when a youth who was close to our family attempted suicide. Another book I wrote is about caring for our Earth home. Why? Because I'm worried about climate change. In other words, I act on those things weighing heavy on my heart. He says, I agree with Holmes that the part of the universe is with us. We may not always have the support of others when we listen to our hearts, but love gives us the strength and the courage we need to act bravely. I've said in previous sessions, readings, what you like to call them, that my mother was fairly quiet and she was relatively unassuming. And often she wouldn't argue with people, but if there was a topic about which she was really, really concerned, then she would speak up. For instance, if she was concerned about how some of the poorer people in our community were being treated, she'd speak up about it. Our Toastmasters meeting today, one of our speakers, the first speaker actually, talked about what it means to be mentored. Not to be a mentor, but to be mentored. And the way she did it was to tell a story. And when you tell a story, it always goes over extremely well because people love stories, right? So the small story in the middle here about Diana going and talking to the school principal, to me, carries a bigger message than the whole rest of the thing that she's put together. So that piece on its own, to me, is the crunch of this whole message here. So in other words, when she was under the gun and she knew something had to be done, her daughter was in potentially, maybe she wasn't in danger, but anyway, in her mind, her daughter was potentially in danger. She picked up the courage and went to the school and spoke to the school principal. So in other words, when things really are important to us, we're going to act. What is really on my mind today is taking care of the earth. Because I know some of my friends don't believe in climate change. They don't believe in global warming, even though the earth is getting warmer. And I'm not saying that human beings are 100% responsible for global warming. But I am saying this, that we've made a heck of a big contribution towards it. And we've been doing it since the late 1700s when the Industrial Revolution began. And we're still doing it. So when you deny the statistics out there, when you deny the facts, when you see glaciers melting, then it's pretty obvious something's going on. And to completely deny global warming is obviously going against all the facts. You know, we got a friend who believes in the flat earth deal. Well, I'd say this. I flew in Concorde once. It was flying at about 65,000 feet. And you could see the Earth's curvature. You could actually see the Earth's curvature. And I mentioned this to her. She said, no, it was just probably the refraction on the windows. No, it wasn't. I could see the Earth's curvature. And the people who deny that we've been in space, you know, human beings are always going to invent things. But my message is this: we don't have to be a Martin Luther King Jr. We don't have to be a Nelson Mandela. We don't have to be a Mother Teresa. But we can do our own little bit in what is really important to us. And what is important to me is that people are treated fairly and that we treat the earth fairly. So I'm always all my life, I've been a big believer in treating people fairly. And when people are treated unfairly and I'm around, I'll speak up about it. So sometimes these messages, at least to my way of thinking, get a bit too preachy. Maybe the last few days they've been a little bit preachy. So we're going back to something that my colleague Reverend Lisa talks about often, which is this: it's self-care. You really, really have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. And I know some people say that's selfish. No, it isn't. It is absolutely not selfish. At lunch today, one of our group, after Toastmasters, a bunch of us go out to lunch. It's a simple lunch. It's at a place called Jason's Deli. It's got relatively simple food. It's relatively healthy. And it's usually a place where we can have a discussion. And she was talking about this, about it's not selfish to want to have good things for yourself. It is selfish to want to have good things for yourself and exclude other people and do it at the expense of other people. But the bottom line comes down to this, you know, and Reverend Lisa preaches it, I preach it, our senior minister, Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings, preaches it. Self-care is incredibly important, and that's where it begins. And when you build that strong foundation of self-care, you will have the strength, you will have the courage, you will have the love and the compassion to go out and help other people, because you will be loving yourself. You can't love others unless you love yourself, but you can love others when you do love yourself, and that's the positive side of it. So let me see, what's the affirmation? I'll be back tomorrow around about 5. Reverend Lisa will be here. She'll be on Creative Life Spiritual Center's Facebook page at 9:15. The affirmation is, I listen to my heart. I listen to my heart. I trust the power of, you substitute the word, God, the universe, the all, spirit, the divine, to support me. She says, I trust the power of the universe to support me. I think it's bigger than that. I trust the power of the grand of all being to support me. It's my affirmation. So, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Namaste.